Follow me to the pineapple. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Tabasco peppers. The reason we're talking about Tabasco peppers here at Little Pepper Pants Farm is that I am plucking the Tabascos in order to extract the capsaicin oil from them. So this is the first step. So is to get the peppers. Now, being that Tabasco have capsaicin and we're going for capsaicin oil, hopefully we can extract capsaicin oil. So why are Dehydrators so bad at telling jokes? Because their jokes are too dry. So here we are, step 2. Tabasco peppers are going into the Dehydrator. The idea is to get them nice and crispy, and then I will grind them up with a food processor grinder, and then we can extract the oil a little better. More surface area is obviously better for the alcohol that we're going to be using to extract the oils. So this is step number 2. We're going to be going low and slow here. You can see we're at 12 hours and the temp is at 95. So low and slow, it'll put it through the night. Hopefully you guys crisp up really nicely overnight and look like Magda from Something About Mary in the morning. All right, we're gonna check these puppies. I ended up doing about 16 hours. First thing this morning, I changed the heat, bumped it up to 140 for a couple hours, and I ended up bumping it up to 158 here at the end. So they should be done. They look nice and wrinkly. Let's see the second shelf, make sure, looking good. So I'm gonna grab one of these and do a little crunch test. So you want it to sound like somebody tiptoeing around a Texas Roadhouse. Because the peanut's on the floor. Yeah, it's a good sound, see what I mean? So next stop will be dumping these guys into a bowl and then putting them into the mortar and pestle. All right, to the grinding stage. Now I'm gonna use this mortar and pestle that my friend Danielle gave me, and I love it. It's stone, so it's heavy, it's durable. The pestle is nice and heavy, so I don't have to use a ton of force in order to grind things up, especially with things like mustard seeds and such. You can use a food processor, a grinder, anything with a cutting blade. You can even use a blender. The problem with the blender is that it's going to make powder out of it, and you will dust your whole house. So anybody that's in there will hate you, and it becomes really difficult to strain the powder out later, which you will need to do when you're extracting capsaicin oil. So I'm gonna go with my top choice, which is this mortar and pestle, and I'm gonna pulverize it. I'm trying to get it to be about the traditional chili flake style. So I'm just gonna put pressure on it here. I'm gonna use the beveled edge here and roll it around the sides of the mortar. I'm pressing it down. As you can see, it's starting to chop up really nicely. Now the seeds are in there, which is great for the extraction. Most people think that seeds and peppers are hot. That is false. The pith, or the actual placenta of the pepper, which is the meaty part inside the pepper, is where most of the capsaicin is found. However, the seeds are attached to that, so I like the seeds here because that'll be really easy to extract the remnants off of the seeds down the line. So in some of the stunt peppers like Carolina Reapers or ghost peppers and whatnot, you will find capsaicin in the skins, as that's one of the reasons they get much, much hotter and higher on the Scoville units. So anyhow, we're gonna pulverize these guys up, get good surface area. I'm gonna throw them in a jar, throw some alcohol on them, and we'll extract the capsaicin oil. Now you'll notice that I put gloves on. You want to be careful that even with gloves on, you do not touch your eyes, because the capsaicin will be on your fingers. So also don't touch anywhere else. So dress up like a doctor, pretend like you're doing surgery here with these peppers, and you will be much happier down the line. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. We've got booze. We've got peppers. We've got a blender. Are we making Bloody Marys, folks? No, we're not. We're extracting capsaicin oil. Follow the video. Anyhow, this is the key ingredient to our next step of our extraction. This is a monster of an alcohol. It is diesel 153, 153 proof. Ridiculous. It is the strongest legally sold alcohol in the US right now. So it is dangerous, to say the least. Flammable, for sure, and I don't think that you should be drinking something that's that flammable. Anyhow, I'm glad somebody does, because we can use it to extract the capsaicin oil. Now, you can use a lower proof alcohol, like a vodka or something. The only difference is vodka has more water and other ingredients. So the water takes longer to evaporate off, and the other ingredients tend to stay behind. That could contaminate the flavor. So go big, go pure, diesel 153. Okay, so the next thing we have here is our peppers. We can see that I've got my ground peppers in there, the Tabasco that were dried out, and they are beautiful. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the alcohol and cover this whole thing, and actually add about an inch over it. So this jar will be full of alcohol. Then we're gonna take it and store it in a cool, dry, dark place. for about 3 days, 3 or 4 days, so that it can do its work and extract the oil. Here's an example of one I did a couple of days ago. This has about a day left, but as you can see, a lot of the alcohol is reabsorbed back into the peppers. It's sort of rehydrated them with the alcohol, which is good because that will actually mean that it's extracting the oil out of there. You can also see how viscous or sort of oily it is on top there, so it's definitely doing its job. It smells amazing. We've got probably, like I said, another day or so, and then we'll move on to the next step of extraction. So stay tuned, and we'll move on. And in the meantime, maybe I'll make a Bloody Mary. All right. It's been about 4 days, and we've got our concoction here. You can see the pepper mash is settled. We've got our mix of oil and alcohol blended together, floating on top there. So we need to separate that from the concoction. Now, you can take a siphon or a syringe and pull it out. I'm just going to use a simple food strainer in another jar. So I'm going to take this pot and put the jar into it, because if I spill, I'm going to have it contained in the pot that way. Pretty clever, huh? So now I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to slowly pour it into the food strainer so that none of the mash is getting in there. And I'm just going to pour it in like so. Now I will scrunch this down and then squeeze out all the juice in a little bit. But in the meantime, for the video, I'm just going to show you what we got. So now, this here is pure alcohol, or the closest thing to 153 diesel, and capsaicin oil. So I am now going to need to separate the alcohol from the oil. But before I do that, I like to take a sip of this to see how hot it is. That is delicious. Just kidding, I switched it out. Here's actually the oil. A little off-camera magic. Anyhow, this is the oil. I would not dare drink it. It's almost pure capsaicin. Super, super hot. Anyhow, what I'll do is I'll strain the rest of this, and then I'm going to set it in here in the dehydrator on this bottom shelf. I'll do it on a low temperature. Now you can set it outside. You can do cheesecloth. Some people will set it outside with a fan on it. I like the dehydrator to create the evaporation effect quicker. That way the alcohol evaporates off, and we'll show you how it gets nice and thick, and we'll get down to pure capsaicin oil shortly. Here we are, finished up. Reach in here, you guys tell I've been working out. Just kidding, I don't work out. Anyhow, look at the reduction here. Remember, the alcohol was up to here, so all of that evaporated off to leave this sort of goopy oil that's pure capsaicin, or almost pure capsaicin in there. So you can see how kind of jelly-like it is. Look at this. Get this knife and look at it. It's just thick. So it's a good, nice heat. So I'm going to end up adding that to a pain relief ointment that I'll mix in some eucalyptus and some mint with. So that'll give it an icy hot feeling, which is great for arthritis, great for headaches, joint pain, muscle aches, things like that. Capsaicin has been proven to be very effective to alleviate those types of pains. The other thing, because I used consumable alcohol, it's food grade. So I will be throwing this into my next small batch of stunt sauce that I make. So stay tuned for that. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and school's out.